Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. So on our technique retake video, we are looking at coloring our embossing folders and then using that paper on a layout. And I'm going to show you the technique here first. And all I'm doing is taking my ink pad and I'm running it all along my embossing folder. And I'm doing it on the deboss side. And I'll make sure to have a link to the technique video where I did this, because I do show a couple of different inks. So you can use your dye inks, your distress inks. The key to me is just cleaning off your embossing folder right away. And then that way you don't have to worry about any staining or anything like that. Now the sheet that I did here, I'm not going to actually use in the layout. I just wanted to refresh you on the technique, because what I did was the one that I did in the last Tuesday's video, I cut out in heart shapes. So we're still going to use the technique, we're just using a different pattern. So once I get everything separated, I'm going to take that one end off and get this attached down to our chipboard. Now, I don't know why, I always use chipboard. I like it to feel sturdy, so I like to attach mine to chipboards, even if I'm just doing a flat one. Sometimes they feel flimsy, and I don't want them to get messed up. But, you know, I have the chipboard, so I'm going to use it. And I'm doing the same thing that we always do, taking the backing off of the score tape and then using some of the art glitter glue to give a combination. I like doing the combination, the glue and score tape. Now for this particular layout, if you look really closely, you can see areas where looks like there's splatter, stuff like that. Well, I decided that I wanted to use my stamps, and I took the archival black ink, and in the area where I'm going to put my collection of papers, I'm putting the distress stamps all around that, and then I'm also going to add the stamp set from Blue Firm. And this one looks like it's a distress honeycomb. And let me see what it's called. Yeah, it's called Honey Bits. And when I use this one, which is right here, I do, with both of them, I did second generation stamping. And then I also didn't do the full pattern, like I had one coming off short. So just change it up. And the tags that I did, I had 2 white tags. I was initially going to run those through an embossing folder as well, but I forgot. So, you know, when stuff happens, you got to improvise, keep moving. So I decided to distress that. And when I held them up against the paper, I was okay with it. Now, I was going to trim and cut and create the shapes using scissors, but I wanted something a little bit more, not edgy, but that has some interest. If you tear and you don't get shapes that you like, don't feel, afraid to cut it up or straighten it up with your scissors. Go ahead and do it, because you can, And then when I was done with the edges, I just inked them up with the distress ink, black soot. And then we're going to layer them together and create our base for where our photo is going to lay. And with this particular paper, I just wanted the black and white to kind of peek out. And then we're going to attach it to our final piece. And anything that's uneven, I just trim it up, and then I use the distress ink to distress that side again. Now it's hard to see, and that's why my camera kind of goes a little bit darker, but I am using some gold thread. It's not very thick, it's just, I've used it on my previous retake videos. All I do is I kind of lamb down the thread and try and like move it with my fingers to get it in the area that I'm most happy with, and then I'm just going to attach our grouping of papers right on top of it. And I just added some glue because I wanted to make sure it stays down. Alright, so then I start trying to figure out how everything is going to continue to go together. And instead of using foam tape on this one, I just taped everything straight down. If you have the foam tape and want to create layers, feel free to. You know, you can add a little bit to the tags and then add like double the layers on the photo so that way it pops more. There's a lot of different things you can do. Now with the strip paper, what I'm doing is I have some that are 1 inch. I have one that's like 2 inches. And it's just doing different layers until you're happy with the, you know, composition, how they're laying. And I always take my photo and I'll test it, you know what I mean? I'll look at it and see, okay, well, I like these clusters, this is what I'm going to do with this. And then we're going to put our title right down here at the bottom. And all I did with my title is, it's a chipboard piece that says family, and I just heat embossed it with black embossing powder. And then more gold thread and one of the first hearts. And on the hearts, when I lay these down, I'm finding that the easiest way is to glue the ends of the string to the back side of the heart and then kind of manipulate it as I go to put it down. And I switched up where they had the hearts on the sketch. They had the 2 small ones around where the photo was, and then a little bit bigger one up at the top, and I'm going to switch it. Now up here in the corner, what I did is I'm laying down and doing the layers with 1/2 inch strips. And with the 1/2 inch strips, I realized, oh, I wanted to put this one underneath, so I had to lift them up. And then lay that one down, and then make sure those went back. And then if I had any that weren't laying right or looked weird, I just put a little of the art glitter glue underneath, so that way it would stay down, since I wound up, you know, lifting them back up. And then I just flip it over and I'm trimming it just like you would with your cards or anything like that. If you have it hanging off and you just flip it over and trim it, that's the best thing to do. And then we're going to attach family. And then we're going to get, I was looking at that heart and it turned out it was just a little bit too big for up there in the corner. So I'm going to grab another smaller heart. And I have the thread laying down. I'm just grabbing the 2 ends and then I'm laying it down. And I have my stamp cleaner sitting on it for just a second while I start to get the stuff I need for my splattering. So for the splattering we're using again the black gesso. Just 1 squeeze, a little bit of water, and your water brush. And I will say that this time I got a little messy. I had more splatter on the outside of my project than I did on it. But it's all good. And for me, I like doing the contrast. So if I do black splatter, I need to have a little bit of white splatter too. And if not white splatter, then I usually do like gold or something like that. But with this one, I just wanted to stick with the white. So I'm using a Copic white. And it's important with this one that like on your brushes, on your work surface that you clean it off immediately, because the Copic is more permanent. So I'm just showing you again the piece that I did at the beginning, and what you would do is, if you wanted to use it on a project like this, you can use it with your die cuts like I did, where I cut it out using the hearts. You can also color your embossing folder, cut it out, and then use it as a mat if it's just a really pretty, you know, background. I was going to do that for the photo, but the pattern is so pretty, the Baroque one, that it the photo covered it all, and I didn't want it to do that. So that's why I wound up just using the regular pattern paper. Alright, so thank you guys for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. Here at the end, I'm going to have links to previous retake videos, and if I can remember, I'll also try and put the video from Tuesday's video. Alright, the link for it anyway. Thank you guys again, and I hope you have a great day.